कुमार स्वामी नायकर गोंगो लुबू लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे।
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन।
Good evening, Fiji. In this bulletin, heated debate erupts over Manners' comment. Reddy and Prasad clash during budget debate. And Health Ministry refutes Rumbuka claims.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Jackie Spate.
Government MP VM Pillay has taken a swipe at National Federation Party's Lenora Ngerengere after she called on the Economy Minister Ayaside Kayum to show manners. In her budget debate address, Ngerengere took a swipe at Said Kayum, saying the minister turned up late on budget night and delayed its delivery by more than 1 hour, adding he did not explain himself and did not apologise. However, Pillay was quick to point out that the NFP MP should look at her own backyard. Ritika Pratap reports.
The NFP member also said Syed Kayum was a servant of the people of Fiji.
As most of us know, Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Economy Minister is famous for being late to many public functions. He acts as if he's the only person with important things to do in this country. I remind him again, we pay him more than $200,000 a year to be our servant. The people and not him are the important ones here.
In response, Pillay said Ngerengere should get her facts right, and it takes a lot of effort to have a good budget presented.
The honourable member, or whichever lawyer wrote her speech, seems to have something very personal against the Honourable Attorney General. Perhaps the former beauty queen doesn't quite understand how difficult drafting a national budget is. Even up until the last minute, the hard-working budget team is working non-stop to ensure everything is correct. I would rather wait 1 hour and get the best budget than try to rush such a thing.
The Assistant Agriculture Minister went on to say Ngerengere should be the last person to say that Syed Kayum lacked manners.
Honourable Speaker, I would like to ask Honourable Ngerengere where her manners were when she cursed our children earlier this year. She is absolutely right in that manners make it man, and her act of cursing innocent children, including those who are yet to be born, tells us what she is made of.
Meanwhile, Pillay hailed the budget, saying it is bold and visionary. Ritika Pratap, FBC News.
Minister for Rural Maritime Development and Disaster Management Iniese Ratu has called out National Federation MP Lenora Ngerengere for misleading Parliament and Fiji. Ngerengere in Parliament claimed that a certain brand of tin fish, which is part of government's TC Herald Relief to Kandavu, was of substandard. Ngerengere also had this to say.
On June the 20th, 2018, Honourable Speaker, the Malaysian Ministry of Health banned this very brand, took them off supermarket shelves. Why? Because this fish, tin fish, had been found to contain roundworms. And yet this is what our government gave to people in Kandavu and God knows wherever else.
Here with me is the health certificate that brought that product into Fiji, Mr. Speaker, sir. What she was referring to is canned mackerel in tomato sauce or canned mackerel in vegetable oil. Mr. Speaker, sir, Motibai is the agent, and we are governed by government's procurement policies. And this contract is given to Motibai. And the above-mentioned goods are in conformity with the sanitary requirements and fit for human consumption. But she was referring to what was banned in Malaysia. Mr. Speaker, sir, according to what we have found out, what was banned in Malaysia was sardines.
National Federation Party leader Professor Biman Prasad claims the government has no economic vision for Fiji and makes things up as it goes along. Professor Prasad says every year mystery surrounds each budget, which is bad for economic certainty and continuity, as investors do not know what is coming. However, government says the NFP leader was being naive and oblivious to the facts.
The NFP leader questioned why the government suddenly abolished stamp duty, reduced taxes on alcohol and changed the tax incentives for tourism investment.
This year, the government has taken the so-called bold measures. But Mr. Speaker, many people that I talk to, many businesses, They don't believe that this will stay. There is no permanence. Because next year they will want to raise more money. Government will want to raise more money. They will just bring back those things that they've rolled back, like stamp duty and business licenses. They will just call them something different. They will lift the tourism taxes again.
Biman Prasad also claimed the economy was already crashing before the pandemic, and Fiji now faces the biggest economic crisis in its 50 years as an independent nation.
Telling the people, Mr. Speaker, telling the people who have been made unemployed, we will give you $220 per fortnight, but this is not the government's money. This is the people's money. This is what is in the FNPF balances. Government is topping up some people's balances, but with whose money?
In his budget response, Prasad also claimed that the government's debt level is very high as they must repay $1.2 billion in loans and interest in the new year.
We are going to borrow more. We are going to borrow more, and indeed another $2 billion more, Mr. Speaker. And what are we going to do in the year after that? Because the government says it will only collect 1.8 billion next year and the same amount in the year after that.
Why is Honorable Biman Prasad ignoring the cost of borrowing? Mr. Speaker said, when you talk about borrowing, you also need to talk about what is the cost of borrowing. Because the cost of borrowing will add to our servicing, ability to service. It's not only the principal amount that we'll pay back, but we also have to pay the cost of borrowing, which is the interest rates.
Minister for Economy Ayaz Syed Kayum will give his right of reply later this week. Ritika Pratap, FBC News.
Opposition MP Niko Nawaikula has once again hit out at the Minister of Fisheries for being content with the reduction in the budget allocation for his ministry. While contributing to the budget debate in Parliament this morning, Nawaikula referred to the reduced allocation for the Fisheries Ministry as maintaining the minister's status quo. Lena Rees with the story.
Niko Nawaikula went on to question the stimulus in the reduced budget allocation to the Fisheries Ministry and claims the budget does not provide assistance to workers in the fisheries sector.
He thanked the budget for supporting the primary, but wait, there's no support there. Honorable Kurulapsal, you have 15.5 million. Your allocation, and it's 582,000 less than the last budget. So where is the stimulus? There's no stimulus there.
According to the budget estimates, the Fisheries Ministry was allocated $17.2 million in the current budget and $15.5 million in the 2020-2021 budget. In response, Minister for Fisheries Simi Correila Visao says they understand there has been a reduction in the ministry's funding, adding that there is still a lot of work that can be done around that.
We can increase our activity by redistributing our manpower to be able to fill in the gap on the financial repercussions that has been affected by this COVID-19.
Meanwhile, Nawaikula has labelled the budget dishonest and bogus, but agreeing that we need to stimulate the economy during this difficult time. Lena Rees, FBC News.
Assistant Health Minister Alexander O'Connor has slammed opposition leader Sitiveni Rambuka for saying the Health Ministry is not in a sound state. In his budget address to Parliament, O'Connor said the opposition should come with facts regarding the Health Ministry. Kelly Vavala reports.
The opposition leader yesterday said our health system is not in shape to take care of the current pandemic and deal with possible future infections.
I've already mentioned the dilapidated condition of our healthcare system and the likely inability to handle any serious pandemic situation or the worsening of the current one.
Assistant Health Minister Alex O'Connor said they've expanded healthcare services following years of specialist training.
Many of these high-end complex specialist medical services did not exist in Fiji before 2012, and the ministry used to send Fijians to overseas hospitals for expert treatment. These treatments would take hours and cost thousands of dollars. Now, well-trained and competent local medical specialists provide these services in Fiji, and this means significant savings in transportation, living expenses, and emotional pressures from being away in a foreign land for specialist treatment.
The MP says the government also established a new cardiology centre at CWM and replaced the old cath lab used for diagnostic services with a new facility. He adds they're conducting visits to subdivisional hospitals and the Maritime Islands.
This means we are taking the best specialist teams from CWM Hospital, Lambasa and Latoka hospitals to the rural areas.
The Assistant Minister says their outreach has become an integral part of the ministry's annual program. Kelly Vadalo, FBC News.
Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama has hit back at the criticism made by the opposition Member of Parliament Inosi Kurindrani during his national budget response on the sugar industry yesterday. In Parliament, Kurindrani questioned the Prime Minister and Minister for Sugar Industry on whether there were real analysis done to identify problems faced by the industry, citing lack of funding and monitoring and evaluation and poor governance as other factors contributing to the problems. Kurindrani further claimed that the minister responsible lacked analytical qualities, knowledge and commitment to revive the industry. He added that the industry is currently producing 45 tonnes per hectare, which is only 50% of the farm potential, a production well below the break-even point of 90 tonnes per hectare. The Prime Minister says Kurindrani simply lacks evidence and sufficient knowledge about the industry. He says never in the history of the sugar industry did Fiji produce over 65 tonnes per hectare on average. The PM adds the highest that has been achieved so far is 65 tonnes in 1979. He says the situation went from bad to worse from 1997 as Sitiveni Rambuka brainwashed the landowners not to renew leases and forcing cane farmers to move out of the cane growing areas after the cane leases expired. Up ahead, FMPF announces next phase of assistance, and US-China tensions continue to rise.
मैं तो दिल्ली में रहता हूँ और रेडियो फीजी रोज सुनता हूँ।
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन।
Agriculture Minister Dr. Mahendra Reddy has challenged opposition members to justify which aspects or part of the budget is irresponsible and deceiving. In supporting the national budget, Dr. Reddy says nearly every member of the opposition seems to utter the same statements made by their leader Sitiveni Rambuka. SEDELP opposition MP Salote Randronro today claimed that government has developed a well-framed, thought-out, deceiving budget that saves their own faces instead of helping the marginalized and vulnerable Fijians.
Salote Randronro claims the government continues to mislead Fijians with false promise, as evident with the marginalizing of expatriates.
It is unacceptable to see our locals who are well qualified and more than capable to fill in executive positions in the public service, judiciary and statutory bodies, but they are being sidelined and favoring expatriates. As a result, there is this significant brain drain of our well-qualified people who Fiji has invested heavily in their education.
However, Mahendra Reddy hit out, urging the remaining opposition MPs to speak with facts and truth when responding to the 2020-2021 budget.
I challenge them, I challenge the remaining members to pick up these three aspects and come explicitly and demonstrate that this budget is irresponsible, that this budget is rudderless, that this budget is deceiving. I want to see examples. Mr. Speaker said, otherwise, the public of Fiji will have no more confidence on them.
The minister says the government will not be able to effectively and efficiently execute its key duties with the irrelevant and unverified information made by some opposition MP. Chosayena Nunga, FBC News.
Applications for the Fiji National Provident Fund COVID-19 Phase 3 relief package can be made from August 10th, and the first payment will be processed on the 25th. Chief Executive Chochi Koroi says the two categories of relief are reduced hours and wage rate. He adds both categories are eligible for government top-up if the member's general account balance is insufficient. 53,000 Fijians are expected to be assisted in Phase 3.
Phase 3 will be rolled out soon to assist members who are still working but are on reduced hours or reduced wage rate to enable them to access this short-term financial help. We understand that these members are still earning. So phase 3 is really to help them supplement their financial position.
The fund has assisted 85,000 Fijians in Phase 1 with a total rollout payment of $54 million. In Phase 2 so far, 25,000 people were assisted. The reduction in the allocation to the Ministry of Housing and Local Government does not mean that the services will be reduced. This was highlighted by the Minister responsible, Pramila Kumar, while contributing to the budget debate in Parliament. Kumar said the Municipal Council's budgets were not designed for a pandemic, and they're doing everything they can to adapt and make sure that Council services continue to function as best as possible. The Housing Minister assured the first home owner grants will continue despite these challenging times, adding that 2,644 Fijian households have benefited from the initiative since it began in 2014. Kumar has called the next budget thoughtful, progressive and bold.
If anyone who wants to apply for a first home grant under this program, they have to put in the application to the financial institution. The intent of this program is to provide this grant as a deposit to the first home, or to either to build or to buy.
And turning overseas, the United States consulate in the Chinese city of Chengdu officially closed today amid worsening relations between Beijing and Washington. This is in a tit-for-tat move, comes after Washington ordered China's consulate in Houston, Texas to close, claiming it had been involved in espionage. And Ritika joins you now with business.
Thanks, Jackie. Coming up, value locals, hotels told. And in growing Fiji, Castaway resorts set to reopen. Stay with us.
Pula natang ko approach lang kerse, go erkraki. Do televisi ono barong na Radio Fiji 1 nandomo ibiti.
Radio Fiji 1 nandomo ibiti.
Welcome back. Leading business, local tourism is not enough to cater for the economic fallout caused by the collapse of the overseas tourism market. With hotels and resorts now slowly reopening, Economy Minister Ayase Edkeum says the industry must value every single customer. The Economy Minister says the industry must prioritize local visitors as they also contribute to tourism revenue. Kritika Kumar reports.
The Economy Minister says ordinary Fijians who previously could not go on a holiday are now visiting resorts due to reduced rates offered by the industry.
Even before this, even if they wanted to, for example, stop over at a resort to have a coffee, maybe even a lunch, they weren't actually allowed to go into the resort.
The minister has urged the hotel sector not to close its gate for Fijians when the borders reopen. Said Keum says there are some cultural changes that the hotel industry needs to take on board.
And there are a lot of former Fijians who now are coming back home or used to come back home before COVID-19, and a lot of them rang up and complained. They would be in their family members' cars, they've done well, they were stopping by at one hotel to drink coffee, maybe the rental car. They see the face, they turn them away.
The tourism minister has highlighted, whilst we traditionally relied on international visitors, COVID-19 has prompted emerging markets like Fiji to focus on developing domestic tourism to boost the economy.
We have focused on marketing domestic tourism through our Love Our Locals campaign as a starting point. And according to a recent survey of close to about 40 hotels around Fiji, the average hotel occupancy rate was approximately 55%.
Koya says locals taking part in tourism are supporting not just the hotels, but people associated with the industry. And Fijians are the ones actually keeping businesses operational. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
Tourism Minister Fayaz Koya says more than $40,000 have been injected into our economy by the first yacht to visit under the government's Blue Lane initiative. The Blue Lane was established for yachts and pleasure craft and with the pilot program at Port General Marina in Nandi. This is the first foreign vessel to be allowed into the country in the 4 months since restrictions were created to combat the spread of COVID-19. Koya says this is a small start towards recovering our ailing tourism industry.
Just 2 weeks ago, we welcomed our first yachts from New Zealand. One yacht alone brought about $40,000 into the local community over just 2 days. Not only that, Forex Outlet also has reopened, giving a little bit of life back into the bustling Denera. To date, 26 yachts have been approved to enter Fiji, and we're looking at approximately $1 million being injected into the country by the end of the year.
Time to catch up with Sinifa from HFC Bank with the latest from the money markets.
Let's look at some of the latest economic news from the region. Australian employment fell 1.1% between mid-June and mid-July, with the biggest losses suffered in the second most populous state of Victoria, which is seeing a fresh wave of coronavirus infections. The total number of payroll jobs fell 2.2% in Victoria alone, while nationally, payroll jobs are 5.6% below mid-March levels. Meanwhile, a new bill was tabled in New Zealand's parliament today, which the government hopes will improve the central bank's governance and accountability. New Zealand's finance minister said this would complement the Reserve Bank's recently updated monetary policy objectives. On the international money market, the US dollar fell to its lowest in nearly 2 years against a basket of 6 other major currencies due to a surge in US coronavirus cases. That's all from HFC for now. Binaka.
And now looking at today's local exchange rates, as said this morning, the Fiji dollar rose against the Chinese yuan, the US dollar and the PNG kina. However, it declined against the Aussie and Kiwi dollars as well as the euro and the Japanese yen. Commodities continued to climb. Crude oil prices were up slightly at $41.62 per barrel. Gold neared a new high of $1,975 per ounce, and silver closed up $3 at $26.08 an ounce. And in growing Fiji, with a number of hotels and resorts reopening amid the pandemic, Castaway Island is ready to open their doors this Friday. The 5-star island resort will be offering affordable rates under the Love Our Locals campaign as they look to jumpstart the industry. Philippe Nekaso has more.
The Castaway Island Resort General Manager believes the next few months will be challenging. However, they are keeping a positive outlook.
We feel that with the rate or the offerings that we have for this local market, it'll be quite attractive. And that if you look at it, our rates that we are offering is around $300 a night, where usually the usual rate is about 4 or 5 times that amount.
At least 50 workers will be needed for Castaway to reopen this weekend, and Andrew says the resort is pleased to be able to re-employ workers during this difficult period.
So I tend to think that operators right now should consider that, take that on board, all this reduction in taxes, reduce the rates, and be able to give the locals, especially in the current situation that we are in, to give that opportunity to experience a hotel or resort holiday experience.
For now, the staff have been working around the clock to prepare the island.
Yeah, I'm very excited to welcome back all the guests and show them what Castaway is all about.
Yes, we're definitely looking forward and welcoming guests back on island.
Since the island resort closed in March due to COVID-19, they have been supporting the 202 staff with no terminations. Philippe Nekaso, FBC News.
That's it from business. Jamie is here now with the latest in sports.
Thanks, Ritika, and good evening. Ahead in sports, National Sevens reps the feature in Skipper Cup. And Suva work to eliminate mistakes before backlash. This and more coming up.
My name is Neha and I'm from Kadavi. And Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
can expect to see some National Sevens reps in round 2 of the Skipper Cup competition on Saturday. Tereo Tamani, Alessio Nanduva, Liba Ikanikonda, Melindere Nalangi and CASTAWAY Ningolo are currently part of the Suva training squad and have been given the all-clear to play if chosen. Meanwhile, word is Amniasi Tui Mamba will be running out for Yasawa. Karlaini Tavi has more.
Fiji national men's head coach Gareth Baber says these players will still be a part of the training squad but have been given a chance to play in the Skipper Cup.
The skipper, the boys will be playing from round 2 and subsequent to that they'll still be in training blocks with us through the week. So
the Welshman is looking forward to seeing these players being challenged by various provincial teams.
They're all registered in the provincial teams. Obviously the players that we've had in our contracted players and the wider squad members are all playing. So obviously I'm looking forward to seeing the challenge that it provides them and how they respond.
Suva manager Nemani Tuifangalele remains tight-lipped on the Sevens players who will feature on Saturday, but has assured that fans can expect some big names taking the field.
We're expecting some of those names to come in. But again, I said there's no, the positions are not for the amount of boys that are coming for training. No positions is actually secure for anybody. If you perform during the training, yes, you can. But yes, we will expect some big names, especially some Seven players to come in this Saturday.
Suva hosts newcomers Yasawa Saturday at ANZ Stadium at 3 p.m. Karleni Tavi, FBC Sports.
The Lautoka rugby side knows their return to the Skipper Cup competition won't be an easy ride. After playing 3 seasons in the second division Vodafone Vanua Championship, Lautoka yet to stamp their mark in the Premier Division. The Maroons succumbed to Naita Siri 29-11 at Ratu Takambau Park in Nausori last week. However, Lautoka Rugby President Joeli Saunganga says the team will be toiling hard to enhance a few areas of its game.
We will be working on improving the line-out and the scrum and also rucks. And also discipline is a main concern given that we copped a few yellow cards.
Suva Football has a tough task this week, taking on Ba in the lone Vodafone Premier League match. Following a narrow 1-0 win over Nandi last Sunday in the dying minutes of the match, Suva knows repeating the same mistakes will be costly against the Men in Black on Saturday. Tale Matera Kula reports.
The Jet Setters held Suva to a 0-0 draw until the 87th minute of play when striker Christopher Wasasala netted the winning goal.
Nandi just woken us up from that shaky win. It's like a wake-up call for us, and it's good. Sometimes it's good when you like that, you think when you're staying undefeated, then you stay a bit too complex, and it's good that they're shaking us up.
Now it's back to the drawing board for the capital city side.
We did not play pretty well. Nandi did not allow us to get into the rhythm. But then we're taking that game and the areas we're supposed to focus on, we will start focusing on this week against Ba.
Preparing for Saturday's clash against Ba, Suva knows getting the win is easier said than done.
Well, we all know that Ba is a good team. A big team. All the teams always be afraid of Ba, but nevertheless we'll try our best, and coach has some game plans for us to do during the preparation for this week.
The Whites take on the Men in Black on Saturday at 3 p.m. at the Fiji Football Academy ground in Ba. The match will be live on FBC TV and the live commentary will air on Mirchi FM. Tali Materakula, FBC Sports.
Netball Fiji is yet to appoint a new coach for the Fiji Pearls. Secretary Lucy Rokoura confirms that Netball Fiji will await post-budget discussions with National Sports Commission Chair Peter Mazie to confirm the final pay package for the new coach. Rokoura says once they are privy to the funding available to them, then a national coach will be appointed to guide the Fiji Pearls in the upcoming netball season. At the moment, the Pearls and the national under-21 are under the guidance of Unaisi Rokoura. Former coach Vicky Wilson ended her 2-term contract with Netball Fiji earlier this year. Fiji Paralympic athletes Yosefo Rakesa and Inosi Matea have qualified for the 2021 Summer Paralympics in Tokyo. This has been confirmed by Fiji Paralympic Association Development Officer Albert Miller. Australian-based Matea has qualified for javelin, while national para-athlete Rakesa has qualified for both shot put and javelin.
He's qualified in the shot put and the javelin. In the javelin, he's currently ranked 5th in the world for his classification. The other athlete is Inosi Matea, who's based in Australia. He's also qualified in the javelin for F63 classification.
In today's play of the day, we head to Super Rugby Aotearoa. There were many good tries over the weekend, but this Hurricanes effort was truly remarkable. The Canes go right to left and then back again to put West Herson over the line. That's it from Sports Tonight. Coming up in new media, Twitter hack compromised account details. Find out more after the break.
Hi, Bula. I'm Selai from Nandi. I love Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
And Angie joins you now with the latest in weather.
Hello there and welcome to the Weather World. It was a bit rocky today. Well, basically it rocked between sun and showers. The showers, of course, were very unpredictable. Now let's see what the other centers had in their share for the day. In the west, sunshine was nice and bright, no doubt about that. There is no chance of showers, so the westerners are on a brighter side. Eastwards from Pack Harbour to Suva, the day was full of surprises, let me put it that way. More showers unwrapped other than fine spells. And up north had a bit of both. The night will see more showers. At sea, southeast winds 15 to 20 knots, moderate to rough seas. Now turning to the tides, high tide at 1:23 a.m. with low tide at 7:50 a.m. Sunrise at 6:34. For tomorrow, there is few lingering showers, which is equal to very light drizzles. So, if your laundry is on the line and you see these drizzles, don't panic. Tomorrow's temps, most centers will be cool in the lower 30s. The night for Suva, Ba and Savu will be quite cool in the low 20s. And looking further on to Thursday, it will be fine and calm, just in time when the roll is towards the weekend. That's all the weather news from my end. It's back to Jackie.
Thanks so much for that, Angie. In Fijian Pulse tonight, we asked, do you think the bank interest rates are fair during this COVID-19 pandemic?
Through the crisis that we are going on right now, we have no other options because, through interest rates and all these packages are coming up. Well, I believe assistance is there, but, well, if there's a will, there's a way.
I think reducing loan interest rates during this pandemic will allow people to breathe a little.
I've never taken a loan, but it would really help Fijians if interest rates be reduced.
I think banks should really consider reducing its interest rate during this hard time that we're all going through.
In the world of the weird and the wonderful, many activities around the world have come to a standstill due to the COVID-19 crisis. But in Bosnia, divers are doing what they love. Recapping the main stories for tonight, heated debate erupts over Manna's comment. Reddy and Prasad clash during budget debate, and Health Ministry refutes Rumbuka's claims. Now for these stories and others, tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. Our poll question, we're asking, with liquidity set to rise to $1 billion, should banks decrease interest rates? Visit our FBC website to answer. On to our shot of the day. Boeti Wame sent this sunset shot taken from Princess Road, Tamabua. And you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos to email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj, via Facebook page FBC News and our Twitter page at FBC_news. That's your news for tonight. Until tomorrow from the team and I, stay safe. Bye for now.
Bula FM, number 2 NSR.
Bula FM, number 2 NSR.